this been on the mainstream media for a long time. I think it's been over a month in the news cycle, Connor.
Yes, the Mike Lee's land grab was proposed like maybe a week or two ago at first. It took off.
Let me
talking
be
about the
more
big,
clear.
beautiful
By the way,
Yeah,
they stole this idea from me, by the way. I said this idea 5 years ago.
What?
The using federal land as an asset.
Brandon, I think we're going to disagree tremendously on this.
I know, but I'm just saying for the record, they took this idea from me.
Yeah, Humberto, if you want to talk about
the administration took this idea from me. I said this idea years ago, and I'm glad they're running with it now.
So the Trump administration took this
I was the
idea
first
from
one
you.
to say this.
I don't think...
I'm going to be
ever-
completely honest with you. I put more credibility in the Israeli nuclear program than I do in the Trump administration taking inspiration from the things
I'm not saying
said
they like
5 years
heard me
ago.
say it and they said, "Oh, this random kid said it. Let's
You put
do
it
it."
into the ether,
Right.
into infinite
And then-
intelligence, and then Trump
put this on the
surfed it from his
zeitgeist.
I
brain.
said it, then a few other people said it, and then it made its way up to Trump. So
Trump
I
stared deeply into his orb and contemplated the mysteries of the universe, and it came to him through the spirit of
when
Brandon
he hears a
Aceto.
good idea, he goes with it.
Yeah,
But I
yes.
said it well before he said it.
All right.
Humberto,
All right, on the
the
record.
big beautiful bill idea, like that's been probably almost 2 months now.
Over
They've
2
been
months,
debating
all
Yeah.
right. And
It's super
I
contentious.
love this segment because maybe the big beautiful bill will come and go, but this is bigger than this. This is a cautionary tale, cautionary tale on how bad things can get, how bad omnibus bills are. Because we had this on the news for how long it was, like 2 months, and then not until like 2 or 3 weeks that we start picking up these things.
And same with the AI provision, that there weren't any
saying
regulations
at the
on
same
AI.
time, I need to give a disclosure and being very clear. I'm right behind the administration. I think Trump is getting the right track, and I support the big beautiful bill as hard as I can support the big beautiful bill.
wow.
Ice agents stand down.
I'm not being funny. I think the spirit behind the bill and what he's trying to do is extremely noble and necessary. And let's get it straight
I
into
wonder
the segment.
how much he actually knows about it, but go on.
What do you mean? Go on.
well,
I said I wonder how much he actually knows about the bill, but go on.
That's what you're seeing. Like every time they debate it in the House or the Senate, the House passed its own version after a great number of revisions. The Senate's doing the same thing right now, of the whole process where they have to keep cutting and adding and
Because nobody's read the thing.
yeah, that's the problem with these omnibus bills that are thousands and thousands of
Lobbyists
pages.
wrote it.
I agree with what Humberto was saying, is that I understand the spirit behind it. Of it's basically just a big dressed up budget reconciliation bill. And what
With
Trump
the tax cuts.
with the tax cuts. And what Trump is trying to do is use the budget reconciliation process to get his agenda codified into law before they can erase it. Because if they pass the budget reconciliation without any of those provisions, when it comes time for those bills to be introduced on their own, the Democrats are going to hijack the process and make sure it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So he has it tacked on to important legislation to make sure they have to debate it. The problem, as always, is the multi-thousand-page bills. They have little provisions slipped in there, but you get the big flashy ones like, oh, no tax on tips. Look back to a couple weeks ago where we talked about why that may or may not be a good idea. And then they get, AI regulations. Well, that's not great, but I can understand it. But then this one that Humberto is about to talk about is a huge issue for a lot of people.
It's a huge issue for some people. At the same time, it could be a huge blessing from some other people, right? So, Jay, could you pull up the article? I think it's on the next slide. All right. Proposed sale of millions of acres of public land and their GOP budget bill prompts backlash. All right. This right here, I think they want to sell between 2.2 and 3.3 million acres. Like, can you picture what 3.3 million acres is?
I know how much land the government owns. It's like 30% of the country.
Yeah, well, there was that map on the
Right.
first slide. That's a map of federally owned land.
On the west, but on the east, there's a lot too.
Yeah.
So this land is currently being managed by the government. It's called the Bureau of Land Management and the U.S. Forest Service.
So I do support BLM,
Yeah.
the Bureau of Land Management.
You know what? Out of all government, agencies, I think the U.S. Forest Service and the land management, they do an okay
What
job.
about missing 411?
Well, those are free.
They're not doing a great job of managing the unimaginable horrors that live on the land,
But if you
the
guys
land itself is pretty.
But if you guys have ever visited one of those places, like usually they're pretty well kept.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. I wanted to go before I learned the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, what about people missing?
Yeah, I wanted to go to all of them, but now.
Well, for example, my wife and I went on our honeymoon in Glacier National Park up in
nice.
Montana.
Ooh.
Stunning.
Yeah.
I heard Montana's beautiful.
It's
Yeah,
gorgeous.
it's
Like
ridiculous.
the valley where it's located, it's basically a giant bowl. There's a little tiny airport in the town of Kalispell. You fly in there. We stayed in the town of Whitefish, which is right outside the park. You drive in, and it's right on the Canadian border. It's stunning. Beautiful lakes, pristine mountains. We were there in July, and half of the park hadn't even thawed out yet. It was inaccessible because it was still frozen over.
Wow.
Just mind-blowingly beautiful. And part of why these places are so beautiful is because they are left alone. It's because they don't really even need to be maintained. There's just people who are there watching for poaching and wildfires.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't need to. You don't need to go maintain a mountain spring if you don't have anybody up there throwing trash in it.
Yeah. True.
How do you feel about it, Amy? I know you love being in nature and doing natural things.
Yeah. I mean, I did more so in Hawaii, to be fair. I mean, I was definitely frolicking a lot more in Hawaii.
We
going
all
the
used to
beach
love
a lot
nature
more.
until we started working here in a hangar with no windows.
Dude, yeah. I mean,
Now we're shriveled cave
Beautiful hanger.
My skin does not touch sunlight usually. This is indeed a fake tan. Sorry to inform all of you. But no, I don't like this. There's quite a few things inside the big, beautiful bill that I don't like. I mean, there are things that I like as well. And I get that Trump had a mandate when he came into office. There's a certain amount of things that he ran on that probably got him elected. One of the big ones was the economy. You know, he wants to bring back the tax cuts, the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. There's a lot of great things in there. But then herein lies the issue. They're hoping that something like this, like your distaste and anger about this or the AI provisions or whatever it may be, that won't outweigh you being excited or happy or content with the things you perceive as good inside of the bill, like saving money.
I personally think this is being blown out of proportion. I think the zoning laws that they're trying to push so we can get nuclear plants because we're way behind. They're super important. They're going to get a lot of backlash, right, Brandon?
Yeah, but we should put them everywhere. I mean, like, look at that, though. You know, that means the government owns more land than us. Like, we're acting like they're gonna just like cut down all the trees and take all the national forests away. Like I'm sure some spots will be protected more harshly than others, like the actual national parks, like the best spots. But I don't see a good reason for the government to own that much land. And I think like we can make better uses out of it if we like use that timber or if we build housing on that in that land instead of just like what are we doing with it right now?
Well,
like,
let's circle back around to our earlier discussion on the nationalism versus budget hawk argument.
Yeah.
Do we need to bulldoze millions of square miles of pristine American wilderness to build more housing if we just crack down on the unrestricted number of people coming to live in the country legally and illegally that is requiring us to build more housing in the first place? And this is part of the problem because they're talking about, we're going to sell it off. Who's going to buy it? It's not going to be you and me going out and BlackRock and China.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say the Chinese farmland situation.
If there is going to be
Why isn't that in the bill, by the way?
It should be. That would be the biggest, biggest, most beautiful thing we could do is banning China from owning any land in the United States. But this map of land here.
They can't even stop them here in Florida.
If there is any housing built on this land, it is going to be Section 8 low-income migrant tenements. The rest of it will probably be turned into industrial zones and, more accurately, industrial dumping grounds for massive companies to come in, buy up, build Amazon warehouses and factories. It's going to end up polluted, and we're going to get BlackRock, who owns all the limited housing they build, and China, who owns everything else. This is not a huge win for us. And Brandon, I'm going to kick it back to you in a second because I know what I'm about to say is going to piss you off.
Oh, okay.
Teddy Roosevelt established the National Park Service. I know you have your qualms about Teddy Roosevelt, and I know you have the qualms about national parks, but that is an incredibly important thing. It should be the business of conservatives to conserve. The fact that we have allowed blue-haired liberals to co-opt environmentalism is ridiculous. We have these things established where there is a reason the government manages these things, is because it is not up to private companies to sell off or to exploit to their advantage. The government says this is held in a trust for the people. When you look at these pristine forests and rivers and valleys and mountains and everything, it's meant to be held as a resource because it is beautiful and it is untouched. So to try to say, oh, let's sell it off, and I'll give the floor over to you for your pushback on Teddy Roosevelt and such. But
yeah. So, I mean, I love the national parks. I think that was a good idea, actually, by him. And, I mean, he got to do that because of the surplus that came from McKinley. But first of all, I don't think that we use, like, a lot of these areas, like, the best that we could. I think that, like, the national parks can be preserved. While, like, that's not all national park. Like portions of it are. But, like, it's literally more than the privately owned land. So I don't think the government necessarily, like, puts the land to the best use that could be. Like, again, I don't like that lumber's at an all-time high. I don't like that we have a 4 million person housing shortage. And yeah, sure, part of that's immigration. But part of it's that we used to build 500,000 homes a year, and now we build 50,000 homes a year. So, like that should be dirt cheap. Like, we're the second biggest holder of lumber in the world. So I think we should be using these resources in a smart way. Like, now, and granted, like, I am fearful of, like, them using this in the wrong way. Like, if, like, they shouldn't. Like, I don't know why Trump hasn't brought up the Chinese farmland thing. That's really weird to me. And I think BlackRock should be kind of limited in what they could do with buying real estate, because they're, it's kind of building a real estate monopoly. But I think a lot of good could be done with this. But, yeah, no, I definitely don't have confidence that they will do it the right way. Because, like I said, I do think I'm truly, as far as I can remember, I said this before anybody in the administration said it. I said this like 5 years ago, that we should do something with all this land the government owns. But I don't know if they're going to be smart with it. So that is, I guess, like, my one hesitation to being excited about is, like, I don't know what they're going to do with it, but you could do a lot of good with privatizing this land.
I mean, Mike Lee, the Utah senator who put it forward, already walked it back. He said, okay, I hear the pushback, which is actually great response from a member of Congress to, like, hear constituents being mad about something, say, okay, fine, I will acknowledge and revise. He just hasn't put forward the new version yet, which means the old version might still be in effect.
Yeah.
So, I mean, some action on that
Now,
would be great.
at the same time, I would love to be the proud owner of a waterfall. Like, are you own a waterfall?
Yeah.
Do you know any
I-
waterfall owners?
Yeah.
Do I know waterfall owners?
Yes.
First of all, we're in Florida where there aren't that many waterfalls to begin with.
Well,
But I don't know if you can own
Yeah.
water like
waterfalls
that.
on your property. Yeah. Look at the those California guys who have like 1 trillion gallons of water.
That's right.
The Resnicks.
Yes.
Yeah.
I forgot
that's
about
a
them.
whole different can of worms.
Oh, what company
Kettle
are they
of
with
fish.
again? That's
The what was
Nestle?
it? No,
Or
Smart Water.
No,
or
the
something.
wonderful company.
Right, the wonderful
Right,
company.
yes.
They
The
have
pistachio guys.
the Fiji
Pistachios,
water.
Fiji water, avocados. I don't know.
So
Good
they
for
could-
them.
they could build
you know?
waterfalls.
Good for them. They took advantage of the system, and that's capitalism for you,
by
baby.
siphoning off
All
the
right?
water paths.
But let's move on. This actually really,
Actually, you know what? I'm against it because the Resnicks and what they did with the land, I'm against it.
Oh, Brandon,
Should be
that's
the
what
cautionary tale.
that's what's gonna happen.
I know.
Yeah,
We
100%.
we can't even keep the Chinese from owning land right next to our military bases. So what are we doing? Ownership should be solely American. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, that leaves me out of the pool.
Even certain kinds of American, I don't want. Like, do you want all that land to go to Jeff Bezos to build Amazon processing centers?
Right.
Because that is what it would be used for, and they would make the argument very compelling. Of we're going to bring
Jobs.
10,000 new jobs to this small area that's near the national park or whatever federal land we just got.
Yeah.
Massive warehouse. The shipping is going to be so much more efficient. You'll be able to get your Amazon packages in a day instead of a week. We're going to revolutionize everything. And on and on and on it will go. One more gigafactory, one more electric vehicle manufacturing center. We're going to revitalize the American auto industry by building new centers for Ford and all these other companies. Made in America. But do we want to trade pristine land for
New stuff.
For new stuff? And that is the endless grind of industrialization and capitalism. And that's why you can't mistake capitalism for a moral philosophy. Capitalism is the best economic system we have, but it is an economic system. It doesn't tell you what's right and what's wrong. It just tells you what makes money and what doesn't. So that's
a
why
great point,
it's
Connor.
better than communism,
Now-
but it's certainly not a way to decide if things are good or bad.
If you want to get technical, capitalism is the worst form of free market.
Who came up with
economics.
the term?
Yeah.
Huh?
Who came up with the term capitalism?
Yeah, Marx.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't Marx. It was a French philosopher before Marx, but Marx was the one who popularized Das Kapital on his very famous and toxic book that turned this.
Yeah, and we have no
Planet
semblance.
into
We have
the
no
worst place.
semblance of a free market, and that's why
We don't.
things got so shitty.
We don't.
So if you like this clip, click right here. And if you want to see more like it, click right here. Stay angry, Patriots.